to learn Arabic Jewish lecture.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. And he learned
Mungkin Pak
he
Fana
learned
mau
in
bertanya.
17, as it says there, he learned it in 17 days. Yeah.
Pak Fana, do you want to ask something?
Oh, it is. Apa kabar sama teman-teman?
Yeah,
Apa kabar?
How are you,
good.
Joe?
Apa kabar mana?
Very bagus, terima kasih. Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah. I was listening to your speech about controversy.
Yes.
I was so curious about that. Can you tell me about it?
Which controversy do you want to know about specifically?
The one that you said you can speak in this forum.
Well, it's a verse. It's a way of reading the Quranic verses. When we remove, let me see if I have something which I can send over. Can I share it? Maybe I can share an image. I'm not sure if I can. Let me just do it from my, so that nobody over there gets into trouble. But
Oh, you can copy and paste the link if you want. I can watch it myself.
okay, I will have
If
to
you have,
share
if you
this
have.
with you. Let me. If you can send me privately the email address, I'll share my presentation with you, and you can have a look at it and then share it.
All right. Okay. I got a lot of email. I have to look around.
Oh, that's a pity. Well, here
Yeah.
is the presentation. You will.
Joe, you cannot put it in private chat, Joe?
I put it in
You
private
just,
chat, but
oh, this is the
because-
one, is it? That's you talking about the link?
Yeah, I put the link in there, but you won't be able to see it unless you request permission to view it, and then I'll have to grant you permission individually.
Oh, we cannot access. We
Oh,
cannot
it's a
access.
private. Okay.
It's,
Yeah,
yes.
it's a private.
Hang on a second.
We
All
cannot
right. Okay.
access.
You need access.
I mean, if you
So-
want to ask, I'll grant permission.
Okay. No, what I mean is, can I copy and paste my email in here and then you grant it to me or what?
Yes, if you want to send a private chat, send it. I'll grant it to you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I open my email and I send it to you. Doesn't matter what kind of email, isn't it?
It doesn't matter. I don't think so. I don't think it matters.
Yeah. Hang on a second. Do I have
Just
to
that
put
there
my
are
name on
some-
it?
The verses which we're talking about. Oh, there we go. You have your email. So I'll
No,
share
not yet.
this with
I
you.
haven't put it there yet.
Oh well, somebody N26 Alpha. N26 Alpha sent me. I'll share this with N26 Alpha.
I just sent the request.
Okay.
Let me announce to people on the chat, everyone who want to watch our friend, our video of our friend here, Joe. Look at his channel, Red Judaism. Red Judaism. You can click on YouTube and go there, watch his video. I think his video, yeah, there's a lot of interesting video there.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So I've sent permission to N26 Alpha to see that.
Thank you.
And I haven't got any more requests yet. But essentially, what this is these are the verses of the Quran which are on the inside of the dome of the rock in near Al-Aqsa in Jerusalem, in Quds. And the passages of the Quran which I've quoted there on the dome of the rock, they are written without any haraka. They are the oldest versions of these Quranic passages that we have. We don't have anything older than that. They were made in the 7th century. They were put on this dome of the rock as inscriptions and in mosaic form by Abdul Malik himself, the Caliph. And what we see there is a very different version of the Quranic surahs, ayats, which we see in the modern Islamic Quran. Very, very different. In those passages, we see it says very clearly in Arabic that while God does not adopt a son, he doesn't itakhida walid, he doesn't adopt a son. It also says very, very clearly that when he decrees a matter, he simply says it to be, and it is. And then it says, indeed, yakun lahu walida, which means, indeed, there is to him a son.
But is there any you got any photo shot of it?
I do have, yes.
Can you show it here?
That's the thing I'm trying to share with you. I'll just got a few more people to share it with. I'll tell you what we can do. Oh, I think there is a way, actually. Yes. Hold on. There is a way. I think there's a website which has it. What's that called? Islamic Awareness, I think it's called.
Bang Edis, nggak bisa dikirim
Islamic
lewat
Awareness,
ke WA Bang Edis. Jadi Bang
Let's
Edis
go to
bisa
Islamic
tampilkan.
Awareness. They have it on Islamic Awareness website.
Islamic Awareness ada kok itu. Islamic
Yeah,
Awareness.
I'll get it for you now. I think
Tapi
So
nggak
is
tahu
this
bisa kita
Islamic
clear ya.
awareness
Yeah.
is the one that anti-Muslim or the pro-Muslim? Because there's two of them, I think.
This is pro-Muslim.
Okay.
So even though, because it's there, I sent a link to the page on Islamic Awareness. There we can all see it. I've got your emails, gentlemen. I'll share my private research with you as well. But you have a look at this website, Islamic Awareness here. So this is an Islamic website. This is a Muslim website, which is dedicated to trying to provide historical evidence for the antiquity of Islam, to show how old Islam is. And
But
if you
the
scroll
Arabic
down,
has no vowel, Joe. I can't read the thing.
can you scroll down? Scroll down,
Yeah,
scroll
but
down, scroll down.
without the vowel, I
Yeah,
can't
there
read
you
it.
go. So now this is the original Arabic. This is called Rasm. This is, for me, very easy to read, but it's not easy for everybody else to read. And it's very important for Muslims to learn how to read Arabic like this, because if you can't read it like this, you will never get in touch with the original Quranic message.
Is
All
that
you-
Bismillah the starting
It says,
point?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
With no dot.
illallah. That's what it says.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah.
Yes.
Wahdahu la
Yes.
sharika lah. Lahul mulku wa lahul hamdu. Yuhyi wa yumitu wa huwa ala. I don't even read it. I just in the head.
Yes,
Wa
you
huwa ala
understand
kulli
it.
shay'in qadir.
Yes.
Muhammad Abdullah wa rasulahu.
Who? Yes.
Uh,
This is Alhamd. Yes.
no, that's look like
Ha,
oh, is it?
Zal. Zala.
Ale. That says Ali.
Ala.
wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. Muhammad Abdullah wa
Yes.
Wa
rasulahu
Rasulu.
Yes.
wa rasulahu. Arallah
Wa
wa
mala.
malaikatihi. No. What is arallah here? Arallah wa malaikatihi wa
This is what we're seeing here is a quotation from Surah 33, verse 36.
Okay.
This is Surah verse. So it says to give blessings upon the Nabi, Ya
Yeah.
al-Kitab. No, and then, sorry, it says Ya al-Adhina amanu. It says, O you who believe, salute him with a good salam. Give a good salam to the Nabi.
Wa malaikatu. All right. Okay. In Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Ya
this is
ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu tasliman.
Yes.
It's just in the head, you know.
yes. Well, here the very next passage, the very next words you see there at the bottom, it says, Ya al-Kitab at the bottom here. La taglu. Don't go to extremes. Fidinkum.
Yeah, la tadlu fi dinikum.
Okay, now read the next passage.
Can you point it to me? Which one?
I can't because I don't have a mouse on your screen.
This is the translation.
This
No,
is the-
no, the translation.
You have to ignore the translations, though. We have to get to this. This is the original. This is the original. See, the translations are just giving you translations from a regular Quran, modern Quran. But when you get into this text here, you realize that this text is not the same as the modern Quran.
Excuse me. Is this mouse is your mouse or Eddie's mouse?
That's not my mouse.
It's mine.
Edis's
Oh,
mouse.
okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
Can you tell him which one is it that Allah have a son? Joe,
Yes.
if you can.
Yes. So you can see where it says on the side. It says SE E.
S.
Yeah, these
yeah.
letters are showing you which wall of the dome of the rock, has this writing on it. So the writing we have to look at the wall which is labeled NE, northeast, the northeast wall of the Dome of the Rock. Now this is the verse. This is the verse.
Yeah,
It's
but
still
is it
there
possible?
now, Joe?
Please God protect us all.
Is
So
this still there now?
This is still there today. You know, it's in there. It's there in Jerusalem today. You go to Al-Aqsa. This is the Dome of the Rock. Kubbat al-Sakhr. This is right behind.
Right. Okay. But is it possible that the Muslim didn't see
They
what
can't
is
understand
written
it.
there?
They can't understand it because they can't read it. Look,
I just read it to you.
read this passage. Northeast. What does it say?
Yeah, there's a problem, Bang Awang. It's on your head.
It's in your head.
You know,
That's
one
what
second.
Joe
You're not actually reading what's there. You're reading what's in your head. So the
Balatha,
northeast passage there, you
intahu.
can see what it says.
Can you read it for me? That the one right next to it.
Please read for us, Brother Joe.
Look at on the northeast where it says NE. Count the words.
Yeah, what does
Okay,
it
so-
say, that one?
So
Alamahu.
it says
I
to
think is it?
believe in Allah.
No,
Can you see
in
where it says
Arabic. I
Inma
mean,
Allah? Can you see Inma
yeah,
Allah? Indeed Allah.
ilahu wahid.
Huwa wahid. Allah ilaha wahid. Indeed, God is one God. Subhanahu. And now the next word. Can you see the next word after Subhanahu?
That's Subhanahu there, yeah.
In.
Subhanahu.
This is not what we call interrogative case Arabic. This is not interrogative case. Interrogative case is like asking a question. Does he have a son? It's not a question. It's a definitive emphatic statement. En yakun lahu walid. Indeed, there is to him a son. That's what it says.
Oh, I don't know.
Yes.
Subhanahu. Yakun lahu walad. No.
Yes. This is
Lahu ma
emphatic
fis
case.
samawati wa ma fil ard.
It's indeed there is to him a son. To
wakila.
him belongs the heavens and the earth. Yes.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
so
that's right.
so exactly after Subhanahu, this word is emphatic case. This is emphatic case.
So what
we-
is? Maybe you can show me the
it's like
translation.
saying inna. So most people read this as an, but it's not an. It's inna.
What? How do you read this? How do you read this?
Exactly as it says, very simply.
Yeah.
Inna yakun lahu walad. Indeed, there
we-
is to him a son.
Oh, you don't have the mouse to point it out.
No, I can't. Sorry. So it's on the next. So maybe Edis, can you read Arabic at all? Edis
No,
TV?
no, he doesn't.
No.
It's illegal.
So if you can move from your mouse to where it says NE. No. Where it says NE.
Yeah.
Okay, now move your mouse slowly across and I'll tell you when to stop. Keep going. No. Don't go down. Don't go down. Move
Maksudnya
the,
sepanjang itu, Edis.
move the point.
Sebelahnya
from
NI.
NE.
Ya, terus
Yeah, keep going across.
ke
Move
kiri,
across.
ke kiri,
No. Yes.
ke kiri. No, jangan turun, ke kiri. Sampai di akhir kata mungkin maksudnya dia.
That's right. Okay, stop.
Ya,
Stop.
ya,
Whoa,
ya,
whoa,
ya
whoa.
itu tadi barusan.
Di atas. NE.
Stop there.
Ya,
There.
Di sebelahnya
That's-
lagi.
That is the word. That is the word. That is the word. In. And the next word next to it, can you move the mouse next to the next word? Don't move down. Don't move down. Just move the mouse to the left,
Sebelahnya.
slightly to the left. Stop
Yeah.
there. Stop. That's right. So that's inna yakun lahu walid. Indeed, there is to him a son. So this is a big shock, right? So what's going on here? What does this mean? Why is it saying that? I mean, it says again and again that la itakada walida, and here it says in yakun lahu walida. So why is it
I
saying
think there is miswriting here, miswriting
No.
or missing. Definitely, there is something wrong here.
it's not? What's
I
happened
don't
is
know. I don't know.
I'll
I'm
explain. I can
only.
explain it to you. I can
Yeah,
explain it
it's
to you.
something wrong, Awam. You say something wrong
What's-
because it is already, you are already conditioned and shaped as if, you just take it as doctrine. That's why it is in
That's
your
right.
head.
That's right. It's very sad because Muslims are not believing what the Quran says. Muslims are believing what the mutafsirun say.
Yes,
Yes, that's true.
That's true. And that's the problem. So if you take your mutafsirun as gods instead of Allah, then you will get upset and angry about what's written.
All right, but where the original sentence in the Quran is occur, this one.
This is Surah, it's not that different. This is Surah chapter 4, An-Nisa, ayat number 171.
4171.
Yes.
4171.
Anissa berapa?
4171.
4171.
Yang Isa adalah kalimatullah.
But I think that I tell you what, for the sake of your safety, I recommend you don't play around with the
All
Islamic
right. Now,
Quranic
yeah,
text.
no, it's written here. Subhanahu ayyakuna lahu walad.
Anissa 41 ya?
Yeah, they changed it. So what it actually says is
Anissa berapa tadi?
in yakun lahu walad.
41.
No, without the vowel, it can't be in.
That's right. They're changing because the haraka changes it.
Yeah.
The haraka changes it. So, but you see the original is without haraka.
Yeah, but yeah, I got it. Actually, I understand what it is.
Yes, this is the difference between the way that mutafsirun put it is something called interrogative case. They make it into interrogative case. So they will use a subordinating conjunction, an. They will use an, a subordinating conjunction. But this is only because of the haraka. You can change this from a subordinating conjunction. You can change it into a conditional or an accusative case, an accusative particle. So you can make it into an accusative particle, inna. And now its meaning is completely different.
Oh, okay. But assuming there is a
Yes.
Muslim who read Arabic, right, without knowing the Quran, and he come there and read this passage, what actually he's going to read?
He's going to read, indeed, there is to God a son. Because you need to look at the rest of the context. It's a bit shocking, but if you look at the context, I can explain it. Remember, the key first, the origin of all of this is to remember that the Quran tells us that it doesn't come, or this Islamic Quran tells us that it doesn't come to replace the previous scriptures. It doesn't come to denounce the Al-Kitab, Tawrat, Injil, Zabur. It doesn't tell. It tells us that it comes to confirm them. But we know very well that in the Tawrat, Injil, and Zabur, it says very clearly about God having sons. It says it very clearly many, many times. So how can it be that there is no reference to God having a son in the Quran if it confirms the previous books? Well, the answer is it does have a reference to God having a son, but the way in which God has a son is important. Because if it is yatachida, a son, that means to adopt, to acquire, to take on a son. This is called adoptionism. This is a kind of shirk. But if it is just yakun lahu walid, if it's simply that there is to him a son, then it's not shirk, because whatever God decrees, he simply says to it, kun fiyakun, be, and it is, and that's the way it is. So these original understanding of these passages was that the Quran was saying God's son just is. He didn't adopt a human being. He just is. Because God's son is kalimatullah, the word of God.
But you know, Joe, I mean, from the simple understanding, just reading this ayah alone, just one ayah, you can see from the top that it is the denial of all of that.
No, it's not. If you look,
No,
because
that's what he says. لا
No, but
لا
you're,
تغلوا في دينكم ولا تقولوا على الله إلا الحق
yeah,
إنما
what
المسيح
you're
ابن
doing is
مريم.
you're reading the Mutafsirun's interpretation.
No,
You're not seeing
no.
what's there.
Actually, I don't believe in them.
Yes, but you can't help but read it that way.
What do you mean?
Because 1300 years of Arabic grammar inserted into this.
That's what he said. فآمنوا بالله ورسوله ولا تقولوا ثلاثة انتهوا
Thalatha.
خير لكم إنما
Yeah, who is it
إنما
saying?
الله إله.
Read it. No, you don't start from the beginning. What is it saying? Do not say thalatha. What is it saying? Do not say thalatha. It says that the Messiah, Jesus, son of Mary, was Rasulhu, Kalimatuhu, his word which he conveyed unto Mary, wa ruh minhu, and spirit from him. Do not say three. Who is not three? Jesus is not three. Because what is it saying? The context is very clear. He just said three things. Just said Rasulullah, Kalimatullah, and Ruhullah. He just said three things. But it says, don't say that he's three things. This three refers to Jesus as being not three. He is one. It's clear.
I got it.
Yes, it's obvious. It's context. It's only because of the programming which has been put into our heads which makes us think that this is against the Trinity. Let me tell you the word for Trinity in Arabic. Does anybody know before I tell you?
Yeah, go ahead.
The word for Trinity in Arabic is al-thaluth. This word has been known for hundreds of years before the Quran because of something we have Arabic liturgies, church liturgies in Arabic, which were used hundreds of years before the Quran came along, and they refer to al-thaluth. We have references to the Trinity in Arabic, al-thaluth. And yet this word, al-thaluth, is completely missing from the entire Islamic Quran. Why? Why doesn't the Quran, if it is against al-thaluth, why doesn't the Quran even one time attack al-thaluth? Why not? Not even once. Did God forget?
Because they're monotheistic.
Because they were Trinitarian. That's why. And they were not attacking al-thaluth, because al-thaluth is a monotheistic view of the Godhead. And what it's saying here is, do not say thalatha. The word thalatha means three, because of course, if you're referring to Jesus as three beings instead, this passage is not even addressing Christians. This passage is attacking Jews. You probably have never thought about that because you didn't think about the context of why this passage was put on the Dome of the Rock. And you've heard a lot of Christian apologists telling you many times that this is a direct attack against Christians. Rubbish, absolute rubbish. I'll tell you what this is an attack against. This is an attack against Jews because we have knowledge of the scriptures of the Old Testament, the Tanakh, the Old Testament, the Taurat and the Zabur. And it's in the Old Testament, we see references to Rasulullah, God's messenger angel, archangel. And we see references to the word of the Lord. And we see references to the spirit of the Lord. So we see references in the Old Testament to the spirit of the Lord, the word of the Lord, and the archangel of the Lord, the Rasul, Rosh El of the Lord. Rosh means the head. El is like Jibrail. Mikhail, Il, this El, means like an angelic suffix. Rosh El, Rasul. It's not a human being, it's an angel. So this Rosh El and the Kalimatullah and the Ruhullah are three things that the Jews are aware the way in which God appears to his people throughout the Old Testament. He appeared to Abraham as three angelic beings. He appears to Jacob as a Rosh El, as an angelic being. Jacob has a wrestle with this being. He appears to Moses as a pillar of fire, as a burning bush, as a column of smoke. He appears many, many times throughout the whole Bible. And what this passage is saying, oh, you Jews, essentially, Jews, don't say bad things about Jesus. Jesus is that messenger of God that you know about. He is that word of God that you know about. And he is that Spirit of God that you know about. Do not say that these are three different things. These three are one being, the Messiah, Jesus, son of Mary. Indeed, God has a son. This is an attack against Jews.
But
Jews who don't believe that Jesus is the Messiah, Jews who don't
how,
believe
how,
that these
how
three are
can
one.
I absorb the what I call it, the logic of Allah have a son? I just can't fathom that
Well,
at all.
that's got nothing. That's not my job to do. I'm just presenting the facts, and I know it's going to be a big block, a mental block to everybody who's been programmed for all of their lives into believing that the
No. It's nothing
doctrine
to
of
do with that.
tahrif, for example.
Because you know,
Before the
our
universe exists, there was
Sorry?
Allah, right?
Sorry.
Before the universe exists,
Yes.
there was Allah.
Correct.
I can't imagine that Allah and then suddenly have a son. Or
But look,
has there
the
before
Quran
that?
itself
the meaning of the
says
son here.
is the word.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was always thinking, because when you think about the size of the universe,
Yes.
yeah, before that existence was Allah Himself, just nobody else. And with he with His power, He produced this gigantic creation.
And how? What did he say to make it come into existence?
According to that some people is said by saying kun.
Kun fiyakun.
Right. This is the one that is this is philosophy, because definitely Allah doesn't have mouth. That's for a start. When He said about
So-
talking,
But the point is, we know that there is a word, and the universe was created by God's word.
right?
What
Before
you
the
understand
universe
is
exists,
irrelevant.
there was no
What
word.
we as humans understand is irrelevant. What we know and what we believe is that God created the universe by His word. And here it's telling us that His word is Jesus.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's okay. But before the universe came into existence, right? Because everything, according to our program, everything is created by His word, right?
Yes.
But before the universe was exist, there was no word.
What?
When the question of when God spoke is beyond human comprehension or capability of speaking of. We can't speak
Yeah.
about such things.
Yeah.
know, there was never a time at the moment when God spoke, time began. How can
The problem is people separated word, because they think God is a physical being and His word also another physical being.
in Islam, this is not in Christianity. In Islam, the word of God is eternal.
Does is that in the Quran?
No,
God
that is
created
standard
universe, not
Islamic
Allah.
doctrine. There is a heretical group called the Mutazila. Mutazil, they are heretics. The Mutazil were excommunicated from the main body of Muslims because they said, no, God's word is not eternal. God's word was created. So the Caliphate cracked down upon Mutazil and executed them all as apostates, as murtads, because they had rejected the fact, which is accepted in Islam, in Aqidah, that the word of God is eternal. This is not Christianity. This is not Judaism.
This is
Islam.
just matter of individual opinion. This group
No,
have
it's
opinion.
standard
The other one has...
Sunni Islam. It's standard Sunni and Shia Islam. This is every madhab believes this. This is every madhab. This is standard Islam.
Okay.
This is the Hanafi madhab. This is the Shafi madhab. This is the Shafi Sharia. This is Hanbali madhab. This is Maliki madhab. This is even Jafariya. Even the Shia, they believe and accept it. It is only one sect called the Mu'tazil who rejected the idea that God's word was eternal. Only the Mu'tazil. They're called murtads. They're considered to be apostates.
Maybe I am one of them. I don't know,
Then
but I
maybe you
didn't
are.
declare it.
So I can't help you if that's the case. If you are a murtad because you're a Mu'tazil mentality, I can't do that. Nobody can stop that from being the way you are. That's just the way God created you, and nothing is going to change you. Those whom Allah guides, none may lead astray. Those whom Allah leads astray, none may guide. So that's maybe who you are. Just have to accept your destiny. We're not here. I'm not here to argue with you on that.
No, that's true. That's
I'm just pointing out simply that this passage was put where? Let's remember, where was this passage put? It was put on the dome of the rock. The Dome of the Rock. What is the Dome of the Rock? It's the Qibla for all Jews in the world everywhere. It's the most sacred spot in the world for Jews. It is not so. It's actually not so important for Christians. There was, even at the time in the 7th century, this spot, the Dome of the Rock, where the rock is, this spot was prohibited for Christians to go up there under something called canon law, which was the official church law, like a Sharia of the church. In the 7th century, Christians were not allowed to go up there because the church said, don't need to be interested in this place. We don't need this place. This is the place where Abraham tried to sacrifice Isaac. It's irrelevant for Christians. We don't need it. We have Jesus. We have his tomb in the Holy Sepulchre over here. Forget this place. So Christians were not interested in this place. Muslims were not interested in this place. They have Al-Aqsa, where when they bow down, they face Mecca and they put their bottoms and genitals facing towards this place. That's how important it is. It's so unimportant that the Muslims praying in Al-Aqsa face their backsides towards the Dome of the Rock. It is not important for Muslims.
Is that the Dome of Rock? It's not Masjid al-Aqsa, is it?
No, it's not. It's just behind the Masjid al-Aqsa. So that when you're in Masjid al-Aqsa, when you do your prostration, when you do your sujud, your backside is facing towards the Dome of the Rock and your genitals are facing towards the Dome of the Rock.
I thought the Dome of the Rock is the dome that yellow color.
Yes, that's right. That's right. It's behind Al-Aqsa. So Al-Aqsa is to the south of the dome. It's the same.
Yeah, that's a separate building, isn't it? It is a separate building.
It's a separate building, yes.
Yeah, right, yeah.
It's a separate building. It's a 50-second walk. It's a 50-second walk. It's very, very close. But it's exactly like behind the masjid of Al-Aqsa Masjid, behind the masjid before you go in. So
is
if
there
you're praying,
any photo or something of that?
Probably. Shall we find something? Let's get something.
Yeah, I think you can find it online too. I have seen it.
Because the dome
online though. I've never been there, but
let's just pull something up. I'll share something with Edis TV. Or Edis TV, if you want to search for Dome of the Rock, Jerusalem.
Wait a second.
Let's see who gets it first.
Yeah.
Because
the
dome
is more surprising. That is actually the writing is actually on the made
on the dome
about 690. That is during Abdul Malik.
Yes,
and to me that is quite surprising.
That's very early. It's the earliest. It's like one of the earliest versions of the Quran that we have. I have a map here.
I think this is not the Dome of the Rock, because the Dome of the Rock
this is the Dome of the Rock, yes.
the one that yellow color.
That yellow color. This is the Dome of the Rock.
Else. You're talking about something else.
This is the Dome of the Rock. This has got eight walls, 8 sides to it.
Hang on a second.
This is the Dome of the Rock. This covers the rock, the most sacred place for Jews. It's an octagonal, yes. We want to see a map from above of Jerusalem from above. I'm going to show you a little map of what it looks like from above. Maybe we can use the satellite.
Google Map.
Google Map.
Iya, di atas.
Oh, here's a good picture. This is a very good one. Let's have a look at this. Here's a good picture. This is good because it shows Al-Aqsa and it shows the Dome of the Rock. So I'm going to send you this picture here. How about this? So I sent you a link it's got a picture of Al-Aqsa and the Dome of the Rock together. So scroll down.
Yes.
This picture here. So now you see the Golden Dome. That's the Dome of the Rock. And if you go in front of the Golden Dome, you have a gray dome, a very large building.
The Baitul Maqdis.
That is the Baitul Maqdis is the Golden Dome. The gray dome. This is Al-Aqsa.
Ah, okay, all right.
So what we're looking at in this picture, this big long wall, with the gray dome on top, this big one, yes, where you're pointing now. This is Al-Aqsa Masjid. This is where everybody goes, and then they face towards us. We are like standing where the direction of Makkah is, and they would face towards us, and their backsides would be facing towards the Golden Dome. You understand?
So the one that with the golden dome, is that anyone pray there?
No.
No.
The only people who used to pray there are Karaite Jews and Sadducee Jews. This is the most sacred place in the world for Jews.
No, now I'm talking about now. Is that the the yellow color is the main masjid?
No, the Golden Dome is the Beit al-Qudus, Beit al-Maqdis. This is the
I
The
think
temple,
Yes,
the
Quran
temple,
Sahra.
the Jews temple.
This is the Jewish temple. Yeah,
Is Muslim allowed
Muslims
in
go
enter
there.
the
This,
dome?
this is
I
owned
think
by
it's the
you. Don't.
I think-
Jews are not allowed to go up to pray there now. Jews are not allowed to go there. Muslims own that area.
Oh, I don't
By war.
understand. What? Can you repeat again, Joe? Where the Muslim pray? Can you tell me? Point it out where the Muslim pray.
I don't have a mouse, but you can. Can you move the mouse down, Edis TV, please?
No, with the one with the
the
yellow.
south
yellow-
side.
That's right.
Di gambarnya di yang di atas.
Ke
Can you
atas
scroll
dikit.
back up again? This is
Right.
this is
Is this the place? Is this the place where the Muslim pray?
No, some Muslims.
No.
You can pray, of course, as a Muslim anywhere,
Nggak ada
right?
tempat
Yeah, but it's not the masjid. That's not the masjid. No.
So what it is?
Yeah, it's
What is
mostly
it? As
empty
far
all
as
the
I
time.
know,
I,
this is
I
the
saw it from the
Mostly
video.
empty.
It's mostly empty.
Yeah, it's mostly empty. Of course, Muslims can pray anywhere, but it's mostly empty. It's not a masjid. It's not a masjid. Everybody thinks this is Al-Aqsa, don't they? This is not Al-Aqsa. No, the other building is Al-Aqsa. Can you show us the other building, please, Edis TV?
Ke atas lagi, Bang Edis.
There, that one. That
Ke
is
atas, aduh
Al-Aqsa.
lewat.
Ya.
That's Al-Aqsa.
Isn't Al-Aqsa is
Yang di
for
bawahnya itu.
the church.
Yeah. Al-Aqsa is a masjid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
Formerly
the
church.
beautiful golden dome is not a masjid. The ugly grey dome is a masjid. Yes, this
Ow.
is a fact.
I have never
Yeah,
been
that's
there,
where
so
Muhammad
I
tie a
don't know.
burak, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. I live there. You know, this is my town. I live there, so I know what I'm talking about.
Yo,
Okay, yeah.
can I translate your speech for our Indonesian here?
Yeah, yeah.
Oke, jadi teman-teman ya, yang tadi dibuat gambar tadi, bagian bawah yang warna abu-abu itu Masjid Al-Aqsa. Tapi yang di belakangnya yang ada kubah atau dome ini Baitul Maqdis ini Ka'bahnya orang Yahudi. Jadi itu memang miliknya orang Yahudi ya.
I think
Yeah.
no. I got the photo here. People pray there.
Yeah, they pray there, but it's not the main masjid.
Muslims
No.
can pray anywhere.
Ada
It's
batu-batuan
not
di
a
dalam.
Gini,
Only a rock inside.
Ya,
Just a
jadi
rock.
orang-orang Islam di sana berdoa sembayangnya itu di Masjid Al-Aqsa ya. Karena Masjid Al-Aqsa itu di bagian depan.
The whole plateau, the whole plaza is owned by Muslims, by the Jordan.
Jadi semua dataran itu pemiliknya kerajaan Yordania.
Jews and Christians are not even allowed to go in there without the permission of Muslim soldiers.
Jadi orang Yahudi dan Kristen tidak diizinkan masuk ke sana tanpa izin dari militer Yordania.
I myself tried to go to visit the Kubbat al-Sakhra, the Golden Dome, to try and pray there as a Jew. And I thought that maybe I can get up there if I wear a cross like a Christian. I'll wear a big cross and then they'll let me in. The soldiers will let me in because it's illegal for Jews to pray there.
Jadi
Huh, that's interesting.
pernah mencoba ya ke sana, tapi berperan sebagai Kristen membawa salib yang besar supaya bisa diinginkan ke sana. Tapi ternyata
Very sangka Kristen.
And the soldiers stopped me and said, "You're not allowed in here. No Christians allowed."
Jadi memang tidak diizinkan sama sekali ya yang Kristen maupun Yahudi.
So the only way to get in there is if I pretended to be a Muslim, then I can go and pray. But then if I was praying facing the rock instead of facing Mecca, then I would have been in big trouble with the Muslims.
Jadi kalau kita masuk sebagai Muslim ke sana,
it would literally start a war. So we don't do it. We don't do it.
Jadi kalau gini, kalau mau ke sana itu harus pura-pura jadi Muslim itulah. We have to pretend like Muslim, right?
Iya.
Yes, basically.
Tapi
So,
bermasalah ya sholatnya nanti.
Yeah, but historically, historically, Joe.
Yes.
Historically, which one is first, Dome of the Rock or Al-Aqsa? I think it's Al-Aqsa later, isn't it?
Correct. First was the Dome of the Rock. Now, very interesting story. Do you remember the story when Omar goes and conquers Jerusalem? He consults somebody called Kab al-Akhbar. He says to Kab al-Akhbar, he asks him, where shall we build? At that time, it's called the masjid. Where should we build it? And Kab al-Akhbar says, when he was there before, Kab al-Akhbar used to belong to the army of a Jewish messianic figure whose name was Nehemiah ben Hushiel. Nehemiah ben Hushiel. Nehemiah ben Hushiel actually conquered the Dome of the Rock, the Jerusalem. He conquered it in the 610s. Nehemiah ben Hushiel was part of the empire of Persia's army. He was the leader of the Jewish regiment in the Persian army. And Nehemiah ben Hushiel conquered the land, and they were going to start to clear the area to build the third temple. They were going to build the Jewish temple there. Nehemiah ben Hushiel ordered this. And in his troops, among his troops was this Jew whose name was Kab al-Akhbar. Now, of course, what happened was Khosrau changed his mind. He decided to persecute the Jews. After the Jews had conquered the Holy Land for him, he evicted the Jews. He kicked them out. And the Jews went and they ran away to Abyssinia. And they ran away to Edessa. They ran away to the Negus in Abyssinia. And they stayed down there in Abyssinia for a long time.
Ethiopia.
Later, Kab al-Akhbar comes up from the south, and he goes into Iraq, and he joins Omar's army, and they conquer Jerusalem again in 636. In 636, they conquer it. And Omar asks Kab al-Akhbar, he says, where should we build the temple? And Kab says, when we were here before, we started to clear the area here. So Omar says, continue, clear the area and build it there. And so Kab al-Akhbar started to do that. And there was a wooden shrine. There's a historical record of the Christians in Jerusalem have reported that there was a wooden shrine already in the 640s. There was a wooden shrine on the Dome of the Rock, on the rock where the Dome of the Rock is. Later, it was destroyed and then rebuilt again by Muawiyah because Muawiyah wanted the support of the Jews. And whoever builds a shrine there for the Jews will have the support of the Jews. So Muawiyah built a shrine there, and the Jews were very happy with him. And then later, that was, I think, destroyed again. It was destroyed, I guess there's a long story about that, but it was destroyed again. And then it was rebuilt again, finally, by Abdul Malik. Abdul Malik restored it again. Okay? Abdul Malik restored it again. And the Jews would have been, of course, very happy with Abdul Malik while he was restoring it, and would have been saying lots of very good things and very nice things about Abdul Malik. So Abdul Malik would have had support. But then what did Abdul Malik do? Then what did he do? Then he puts on the inside of this most sacred spot for Jews nothing but verses about Jesus, 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 all the way on the inside of this Dome of the Rock. And that causes the rabbinical Jews, rabbinate, to decide that they have to make it illegal for Jews to go up there to pray, because too many Jews are converting to belief in Jesus when they go to pray to this place. So who is this? Who are these verses for? These verses are not for Christians. They're not against Christians. These verses are verses which believe in Jesus as the Son of God against Jews who don't.
Maybe that is what the
Interesting.
Doctrina Jacobi said, Mr. Joe, Brother Joe.
Doctrina Jacobi is definitely speaking about Omar. Omar is the prophet with a sword that the Doctrina Jacobi is referring to. People might find this very impossible to accept, but when we understand that there was no water in Mecca in Hijaz, and archaeologists have found absolutely nothing in Mecca in Hijaz, we realize that we can't trust the Abbasid stories about the origins of the Islamic story coming from Mecca in Hijaz. We have to look for somewhere else from it. So we have scholars like, for example, Peter von Sivers from Utah University, or what's the other gentleman from University of Chicago? What's his name? I'll get his name. Just it's on the top of my head, tip of my tongue. I'll just tell you. Hold on. Please forgive me. It's Fred Donner of Chicago University.
Oh yeah, Fred Donner. Okay.
Yeah, and they accept that Islam could not begin in Mecca in Hijaz. There was nothing there. So they suggest it began in Jerusalem or it began in South Iraq. These are the suggestions of where it is. Peter von Sivers of Utah University suggests it began in the Syrian desert. Fred Donner is open-minded to the possibility of South Iraq or Jerusalem. Anyway, the point of the matter is it began later, and it didn't begin in Hijaz. It began much further up north. So the earliest reference, this Doctrina Jacobi, is talking about in the year 634. Now, that's 2 years after the death of Muhammad, according to the Abbasid narrative, 2 years after the death of Muhammad. The Doctrina Jacobi is written about a prophet with a sword coming to conquer Jerusalem. Well, you know, Muhammad never went to conquer Jerusalem, and he was already dead. So who is this prophet that's coming to conquer Jerusalem in 634? It's obviously Omar's army. Omar went there, and he actually is the one who took control of Jerusalem. The patriarch of Jerusalem, his name was Sophronius. He handed the keys over to Omar personally. He actually personally handed the keys of the city over to Caliph Omar, when he conquered Jerusalem. So the Doctrina Jacobi is actually about Omar. And in my own thesis, I don't believe there was a prophet Muhammad from Hijaz. I believe that the prophet was Omar, and that Omar is the one who gave us the Quranic materials, and that later his story was put back in time to an earlier non-existent person called Muhammad, the prophet of Arabia. But I believe personally that it actually was Omar is the one who was responsible for all of this. Omar was a Jew who, with Kabul Akhbar, built a temple on this spot. But Omar converted to a belief in Jesus. That's why Omar was assassinated, according to my research, because the Jews didn't want a leader who was supposed to be their Messiah suddenly declaring Jesus to be the Messiah. So that's why he was killed. Later, Islam, as we know it, develops much, much later with Abdul Malik. But at first, it was a messianic movement amongst Jews. There were Jews who believed in Jesus, and there were Jews who did not believe in Jesus. And that's what the fitna was about.
But when this
Interesting.
Mecca become public,
Sorry?
when the Mecca itself, become
Yes.
public.
There was an earlier Mecca, which is currently underwater in Syria. It's in the Khaybar Valley.
No, I'm talking about the Mecca today, when it became public.
Oh, right. It became popularized by the Abbasids. The Abbasids popularized that area. They had as far as we know, there was a shrine, a grave of one of the Abbasids' ancestors in the desert, in the middle of nowhere. One of
So
their
how long
ancestors.
after that, after the alleged, say, the prophet death?
So the first masjid that we know of that faced towards Mecca was in, I believe it's the 610s. Sorry, 710. So it's how long after that is? So if he's supposed to have died in 632, it was another
70 years.
80 years after, then the first masjid starts facing towards Mecca in Hijaz.
So 80 years later on, people start say, assuming, walking to Makkah. Is that what you're saying?
No, 80 years later, we have the first Abbasid, because the Abbasids didn't come from nowhere, you know, they gradually became more and more popular while the Umayyads were ruling. And
Whereabouts were they?
Sorry?
Whereabout were they?
They were in Iraq, then Persia. They became they had their origins from Tiama, from the Hijaz area of Saudi Arabia. And I believe the Abbasids were indeed Quraysh, as they say they were. But this kind of Quraysh cult began with the Abbasids. They created the Quraysh cult because they themselves were Quraysh. And so they created all these legends about the Quraysh tribes and the origins in Mecca and everything like that. But it was actually the grave of one of their ancestors. They were ancestor worshippers.
So when the Abbasid left Mecca and went to Iraq?
Oh, well, they would have had family connections in that area, but the earliest references to Abbasid sort of rulers, they came from a group of Shiites called, I think they were called Kaysanites or Hashemia, Kaysania. They were a sect which claimed to be descended from Ali through his wife Al-Hanifiyah, and her son, I think, was Muhammad ibn al-Hanifiyah. So they had this sect. They were a sect. The Abbasids began as this sect. Slowly
but
in Iraq.
What I'm saying, if they come from Quraysh, when they were left, you know, the ancestors,
well,
not them, the ancestors, when they left Mecca.
I'm not an expert on the Abbasid narrative. You'll have to research the Abbasid narrative yourself to find out when that happened. I don't know.
So I assume if they were Quraysh descendants, then there were people in Mecca long before, isn't it?
Oh no, there were no people there. There was no water.
Well, Brother Joe,
yes,
according to your own understanding, because we often hear that there are a lot theory that Islam began. According to your own understanding, where was Islam begun?
Well, I would go with Fred Donner. I would say South Iraq.
Iraq. Okay.
South Iraq.
Not Petra.
South Iraq.
No,
South
I
Iraq.
wouldn't say it began in Petra. The reason why people go on about Petra is because of this Dan Gibson. And one very important point, which is referenced by Ibn Ishaq, who said that the Ishmaelites, for example, the Banu Bakr and various other tribes who were descended from Ishmael, that's the Adnanite tribes of the Arabs, Adnan. They come from Adnan, Banu Adnan. Ibn Ishaq said that they descended from Nabatea, from Nebaioth, the son of Ishmael, Nabatea. And then later the Abbasids changed the story and said, no, they didn't descend from Nabatea, they descended from Kedar. So because Ibn Ishaq, the earliest biographer, said that they descended from Nebaioth, Nabatea, because of that, and then because it was changed later, a lot of people started to think, well, the Abbasids must have been hiding something. Why did they want to hide Nabatea? What's going on in Nabatea? So a lot of people got very interested in Nabatea. But the real reason why Ibn Ishaq changed that and hid that later, Ibn Ishaq himself didn't change it, but the Abbasids changed it from Nabatea. They changed it into Kedar as the ancestor. The reason why is because Nabatea was Jewish. And Dan Gibson has been going around telling everybody that it was pagan, but it wasn't. Our histories go back to the time of the Hasmonean kings. The Hasmoneans were the kings who descended from the Maccabees. If you know about the story of Hanukkah and the Maccabee revolt and everything like that, the Jewish kings that descend from the Maccabees were called the Hasmonean dynasty. And the Hasmonean kings, two very famous Hasmonean kings, one called John Hyrcanus and another one called Yannius Alexander, were two Hasmonean kings who were responsible for converting all of the Nabatean Ishmaelites and Idumeans into Judaism in the 2nd century BC and the 1st century BC. So from that time on, the Nabateans were Jews. They were Ishmaelite Judaism. I have a video about Ishmaelite Judaism on my channel if you're interested to watch it. It's a very long discussion. It's about an hour and 40 minutes long, but it goes into all the details of what is Ishmaelite Judaism, the religion of the people before they came to a belief in Jesus and became what we call Muslims today. But so that's where that comes from. But they were living in South Iraq. They remember they hadn't been from Nabatea since the time of Jesus. They were spread out throughout the Middle East. Even just so you know, King Herod was an Idumean Ishmaelite from Nabatea, and he was Jewish. He was a king of the Jews in the time of Jesus. So we had plenty of Nabatean Ishmaelite and Edomites who were Jews already in the time of Jesus. They were already there. So they just continued to practice that Judaism. And we also have a reference from somebody called Sozomenus. Sozomenus was a church historian who describes the religion of the Ishmaelites. I have an exact quote actually from Sozomenus right at hand, so I can just read it. Sozomenus described the religion of the descendants of Ishmael, saying that their religion, if any different from Judaism, was only because of the passage of time and the interaction with non-Jews. So we know that the Ishmaelites were practicing Judaism. Even Sebios says that the leader, who we identify as Omar now, who came to lead them at that time and took them to conquer the Holy Land, Sebios, the Armenian historian, refers to him, and this Sebios, by the way, is writing about him just within 20 years of his death. Okay, within 20 years. This is like the earliest references we have to him. Sebios describes him as an expert on Moses, on the laws of Moses. So he was clearly a Jew. But these Jews lived in South Iraq. These Ishmaelites lived in South Iraq. That's the most rational explanation from my point of view where they began.
But is there any theory how the Quran was created from? We
don't need a theory because we have records. We have a record of exactly telling us. It was a discussion between the Emir, which is Omar again, and John of the Seder, discussing how to translate the Karyana, the Syriac Karyana, into Arabic. We have records about this from the church themselves, from the Syriac church. I remember very sadly when ISIS began. This is terrible, ISIS, Daesh, and everything that they did. They exactly set themselves up in exactly the location where we would have to go to do all the archaeological research, and they destroyed everything that it was like they knew exactly what we wanted to do, and they went and destroyed everything before we got there because they were terrified. But there was the Archbishop of Mosul from the Syriac Church of the East. His last public address on international television, he was almost in tears crying, saying how his church regrets translating the Karyana because of what it has led to. And then he was killed not long after that. But this is a very well-known thing. It's just that not many people outside of the Syriac Orthodox Church know about these things. But we don't have to have a theory about it because we actually have a record about it. We even have another record from the Syriac Orthodox Church about Saint Gabriel coming to visit Omar and converting him. So Omar was actually converted. This actually historical Muhammad, which is Omar, was converted to belief in Jesus by Saint Gabriel himself. This is not an angel. This is a Saint Gabriel who was the abbot of Turabdin, also Abu Turab, the abbot of Turabdin. This is his real title. Abbot of Turabdin was Gabriel, and he converted Omar. We have references to this.
Oh, interesting. All of this, did you put a lot of video in your channel, Joe, about this?
Yes, I did. Most of it is only accessible to my subscribers now, but if you want to subscribe and ask for a video, I'll give you links.
Wait, I will announce for people on the chat to
I think I've shell-shocked you all. I should probably give you all a break now from English because you're going to get tired listening to a lot of English because it's not the first language, and I shouldn't be speaking in English on your channel. Thank you very much for having me.
No, that's okay. That's okay. The only thing maybe Edis can translate it.
Yeah, we
understand. Fiatul can translate it.
We got you what you said, but we have a problem to say fluently in English but we understand what you say.
I remember when I was because I lived when I was in university, my undergraduate years, I lived in a house full of Indonesians and Malaysians, and I used to get very tired. I used to speak. Saya cakap sikit-sikit Malayo, as well, but not much. All I can say is like things like silaka dudong, silaka tidur, silaka makan. I can only remember these sort of things, but I remember how tired I used to get when they were all talking very, very fast in Malaysian and Indonesian together, and I would just fall asleep because I couldn't focus long enough. So I feel sorry for you guys listening to me speaking English for too long.
Let me announce for people on the chat.
No, Joe, I'm okay.
If you want to subscribe, if you want to see what has Joe said, please visit his channel and subscribe and see a very interesting video there. This is his channel. I've subscribed him.
Thank you.
Right, Judaism.
And there's the video about Ishmaelite Judaism there, which is one you should really watch if you want to understand the religion of the Ishmaelites before Islam.
But Joe, if I might ask, have you actually read the Quran?
Have I read the Quran?
Yeah, I mean, like the today's.
Yes,
Quran.
I do. I do read the Quran. I can recite passages of the Quran if you like. I can do Surah Al-Fatiha. I can do the last chapter. Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas, malikin nas, ilahin nas, min sharril waswasil khannas, alladhi yuwaswisu fi sudurin nas, min al-jinnati wan nas. Not very good, but I can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Joe, really, I think do you have it in one of your videos about the Saint Gabriel and the translation from the Syriac?
Yes.
Because that's a real bomb, I think.
That's on Fanda Films.
Fanda Films.
Jay
Smith.
has, yes, in July
Jay Smith,
year.
yeah.
Jay Smith,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I do have it too. I have it in India.
Okay, thank
Sorry, I
you.
didn't hear that.
I'll check it. I'll check it.
Time Cruise ada feedback belakang.
Yeah, I'm sorry to oppose you, Joe, but can you prove it? What you just saying that it is, like verification, visually.
Do you know what? These sources are not hidden sources. I can recommend that. The problem is because of the look. There are nearly 2 billion Muslims in the world who would be very upset.
That's too much. I think
it's nearly who would be very upset about these. About any historian who says that this is the fact. But there is a very brave historian. His name is Robert Hoyland. He wrote a book called Islam as Others See It.
Yeah.
If you buy that book...
Seeing Islam as others saw it.
Yes, that's the one. Seeing Islam as Others Saw It. If you buy that book, everything I'm telling you is in this book. It's simply that when he presents it, of course, he doesn't want to get his head cut off, and he doesn't want to have a fatwa against him. So he's presenting as saying, well, they said this, but maybe it's not true because of that, and maybe it's not true because of that, because, the Islamic point of view is maybe the true point of view. But if you want to, you can completely throw out the Islamic point of view and say, well, do all of these other sources match up and create their own independent view? And the answer is yes, they do. They all have one solid, consistent view. As long as you understand that the skeletal key to the whole thing is Judaism.
But mostly this one about history, isn't it? They're tracking history back. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
it's not the Quran itself. It's talking about history.
It's just about history. That's right. So,
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So when we use these techniques, like the one I showed you earlier today, when we're looking at the Dome of the Rock, the inscriptions on the Dome of the Rock, and we are removing all of the harakat, and we're just seeing the simple rasm of the Quran itself, then we discover that there are many, many different ways of reading the passages. And what comes across from these passages where it says, for example, that God did not adopt a son, his son just is. This again is in agreement with the Syriac Church, the Syriac Orthodox Church, which is no coincidence when you realize that all the history is saying that this man was essentially in complete deep relationship with the Syriac Church. It's no surprise that we should see Syriac Church theology and Christology in these earliest Quranic materials. It's not an accident. It's that everything corroborates. Everything is one piece in the puzzle There are like 1,000 pieces of this puzzle, and they all fit together, and they all present one picture. That picture is Ishmaelite Judaism, a leader of the Ishmaelite Jews. He converted to a belief in Jesus by the Syriac Orthodox Church.
Right. But in the Quran as it is now, you
Yeah.
actually he doesn't prove it from the Quran itself.
Robert Hoyland doesn't prove any of this. All he does is very gently present the alternative views for Muslims to consider gently. He's very, very gentle.
By using the history.
You see the history, yes, yeah.
But
And from the Quran, if you want experts on the Quran who do this, I recommend. Well, there is one book called it's by Gunter Lulling. Hold on, I'll just get it off my shelf and give you the name. Hold on.
Yeah, but I think Pak Fana, even if you read in Surah 10, verse 15, Al Yunus.
This book has a terrible name. It's called A Challenge to Islam for Reformation: The Rediscovery and Reliable Reconstruction of a Comprehensive Pre-Islamic Christian Hymnal Hidden in the Quran under the Earliest Islamic Reinterpretations, by Gunter Lulling. It's a very long name. It's a very long name of a book, but it's a very heavy academic book.
Was that chapter 10 berapa itu Pak Jono?
I'm sorry, Pak Fana, in chapter 10 ayat or verse 15, there's an indication that there is actually another Kalyana or another Quran. So the Quran,
10,
it's chapter 10, verse 15.
وإذا تتلى عليهم آياتنا قال الذين لا يرجون لقاءنا أنأتي بقرآن غير هذا. Is that what maksudnya itu?
10 berapa?
15:15 by this.
Right, that's right. You're right. You are correct. Yes, they are asking them to bring a different Quran. They don't want this Quran. They want a different one. Yeah, that's right.
However, in Indonesian translation, they changed Quran into kitab.
Why did they do that?
Yeah, but you see, I think, I'm sorry, Pak Fana, I don't read Arabic, but if you look at the Arabic text, there is no kitab there.
It is Quran. That's what it says. I just read it.
It says Big Quran. Yes, Big Quran. Yeah.
I always read the Arabic text. Always.
So there's indication that there is another Quran than the
Arabic. No,
text.
it's just قال الذين لا يرجون لقاءنا أنأتي بقرآن غير هذا. Without reading translation, I understand what he's saying.
Bring Big Qurani غير هذا. Bring a Quran other than this one.
That's right. Yeah. أو بدله.
Because
change this. He said, or change this.
Or change it. Or badihu. Yes.
Badilhu.
Badilhu. Exactly. So there were people who were not happy about this Quran. They wanted a different Quran. But look, we have so many Qurans. We have so many Karyana. We have so many. And the Hebrew word for Quran is mikra. We have this word as well. We've been saying these things in Judaism for years. There's a book called Judaism in Islam by Abraham Katch. It was written nearly 200 years ago. And it goes into lots of details about this thing. It's just that, as you know, Muslims don't like Jews very much. In fact, I think they generally want to kill us all. And they have hadiths about that. And you have to think, why do they have so much irrational hatred against Jews? And the answer
how many Jews had been killed by the Muslims so far?
Oh, I don't know how many. It's impossible to count. I mean, just if you want to count just how many were supposed to be killed in Khaybar, for example, according to the Abbasid narratives. I don't believe, by the way, that that Muhammad did that. I believe that the Jews killed in Khaybar were killed by Abbasids, and they projected this back in time and say that Muhammad did this with his Sahaba. I don't believe that actually happened at that time. I believe it was a later thing. But essentially, if the people who have got the, if you like, the silver bullet, which is going to put a hole in the foot of Abbasid Islamism, it's the Jews. And that's why the Abbasids promoted so much hatred against the Jews to try and get rid of us and silence us and shut us up so that we would be terrified of speaking out. Hence, you won't find my real face anywhere on the internet, nor my real name. Because I'm saying things I know which I can get killed for. My mentor, my teacher, was blown up. He actually survived miraculously, but he was literally blown up. members of my family have been stabbed. So
Okay, Joe, I just
yes.
want to ask, before Israel came into existence in 48, right? In 48.
1948.
Before
yeah.
then, the ruler was Muslim, was it?
The country was ruled by the British before then, you know.
No,
It was,
before the British.
before the British, it was South Syria, and it was ruled by the Ottoman Turks.
Right. They killed the Jews that time?
The Ottoman Turks, my particular sect of Jews, was saved because we had friends who were from the Alevi sect who actually had high connections with the Ottoman Caliph in the 1600s. And they managed to get my particular sect of Jews recognized as Muslims. They were called Shabbati Jews. But many other Jews were massacred, yes.
How about in Iran and in Iraq? They also been killed?
Well, Iran and Iraq are two new countries. You're talking about the Islamic Caliphate. You want to know about the history? I don't like to go into it because it's too depressing. My own family lineage itself was eliminated during the Holocaust. My lineage, I have my closest relatives genetically. I was looking for genetic relatives to try.
No,
and
because in Iran there are I think it was 600,000 Jews or something. I can't.
There should have been much more than that a long time ago. If you know the story of Esther.
Yeah, they moved, isn't it?
Yeah,
they
Persia
moved.
was a very Jewish area. It was exceedingly Jewish.
They got Jews in Afghanistan.
What, they still have Jews in Afghanistan?
They got the synagogue there.
You'll have to show me information about this. I've not heard about any Jews in Afghanistan.
Documentary. There was a documentary. They're all living, but this one person is that no, I'm not living.
Well, God bless him. I know in Tajikistan, the president of Tajikistan in the 1990s demolished the synagogue in Dushanbe, the capital, to make room for his palace, and all the Jews had to be flown out of Dushanbe. This is immediately after the fall of the Soviet Union, when the Mujahideen took control of Tajikistan, and all the Jews had to be flown out to Israel at that time because they were being massacred.
Tajikistan is something like an atheist.
Yeah, that's right. But they had a deal. I don't know if you know what happened. The Western powers used to destabilize the borders of the Soviet Union. And they used to fund and encourage Mujahideen along the borders in North Afghanistan.
You know this? I saw a lot of documentary about that country. It doesn't show at all about Islam in there.
About Afghanistan?
No, not Afghanistan, the one that you mentioned.
Tajikistan was part of the Soviet Union. So I was just telling you that it was destabilized by the CIA and the British forces. They encouraged the Mujahideen to create problems. When the Soviet Union collapsed, the Mujahideen invaded and took control of Tajikistan. The government of Tajikistan currently is an alliance, a coalition between the old communist Speaker of the House, his name is Imam Ali, and Mujahideen and Islamists who currently rule Tajikistan.
Okay, because in Azerbaijan there are atheists by the name Muhammad.
Question for you, Joe.
Yes.
Joe, I have a question for you. I have heard allegation that the swastika from Germany actually have an alliance with Islamic rulers to kill the Jews. Is that true? Is that only allegation?
No, what I do know is that Hitler and the Nazi Party, Hitler and the Nazi Party believed that Islam would be a better religion for the Nazis than Christianity because Christianity was too pacifist. So, but I don't believe that there was anything more than a collaboration between Germans and Turks, really. The Turks were really involved in
Maaf ya, itu saya turun dulu ya.
Erdogan is a big fan of Hitler, you know. He models his moustache and hair on Hitler.
Salam.
So there's only allegation then that has anything to do with Islam or what? Oh yeah, I mean, Ottoman Turk is a Muslim or Islamic country, but
yeah,
I just wonder about it.
Well, no, I know that only that there was that there are a group of Nazis in the world today who believe that they can try and create a form of Islam which would be more popular and more successful in Germany because they think that Germans should be more aggressive and that Islam is more suitable for their point of view. This is Nazis. They're illegal, of course, in Germany, but they still operate around the world in Argentina and different places around the world. encouraging this sort of view of things. Okay, so we kind of got off topic a lot with the discussions there just now, and my area of expertise is not in politics. My area of expertise is only in the origins of the Quran.
Right.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. So I'll disappear now and look forward to you coming onto my show sometime, Edis. If you want to come along, we can talk about these passages on my show, the ones which are more controversial, and then you'll have some knowledge. All right then. Take care, you all. God bless you all. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Joe. God bless you.
Terima kasih. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks,
Thank
Joe.
you,
Thanks,
Joe.
Joe.
Bye.
Thanks for your time.
Bye.
Dari London itu, Bang.
Menarik.
Iya, banyak. Pokoknya
Dari London ya.
teman-teman.
Memang saya pernah